Let's be real. Nobody ever expects their new start to go nuclear before they even unpack a toothbrush. But here's the deal. The day I moved into my Montana cabin, I learned how fast peace and quiet could become a contact sport. It all started with a demand for my house key. A demand, mind you, delivered through a door I hadn't even finished bolting. And the person demanding, well, let's just call her Karen. But her real name's Bethany Crowell, Queen of the Ridgeview HOA, owner of the world's sharpest smile, and my personal introduction to how power warps when left unchecked. See, I bought that cedar cabin because after the divorce, after losing the script of a life I thought would last forever, I just wanted a place that was mine, where the only voices in my head were my own, not lawyers or ex-in-laws or whoever else wanted to say. I wanted a door that only I could lock. And wouldn't you know it, that door is exactly where all hell broke loose. First morning coffee still burning my tongue, boxes, half open, boots crunching across my new wood floor, and suddenly, bam, the rhythm of authority heels on wood echoing like a countdown. Bethany didn't knock. She didn't call out. She just strode right in, like my house was a showroom and she was the judge. Didn't even look at me, just ran a finger along the mantel, checking for dust like she was grading an exam I hadn't studied for. "Mr. Carter," she said, "never met a person who could make my name sound like an offense. We need your house key. For emergencies," she claimed. "Mandatory." She handed me a red notice like she was slapping a ticket on my windshield. I hadn't even set up my utilities yet. I told her flat out, I'm not handing over a key. She blinked like she'd never heard no in her life. She threatened protocol violations, penalties, the sheriff. She looked me in the eye and promised I'd regret my decision. Then she stormed out, leaving my coffee to cool and my living room full of tension. But here's the thing. After years as a dam engineer, I know the feeling when a hairline crack means trouble's coming. Bethany's demand. It wasn't about safety. It was about control. And when people like her don't get it, they break things or try. A sheriff showed up that afternoon. Morales, an old hand just doing his job. He was polite, cautious, tired maybe from carrying the weight of Bethany's complaints. We talked me on my porch, him jotting nothing in his notebook. "She's bluffing," he said. "If your deed says you're outside the HOA, she's got nothing." But he warned me, bullies get unpredictable when they feel power slipping. I took that to heart. That's when the fines started. My phone buzzed, $250 for noncompliance. Another for emergency access refusal. Then came threats to my water supply, all through the HOA's beloved portal fines, warnings, weaponized bureaucracy. The portal said my cabin was in a perimeter zone flagged for community impact review. Turns out 3 months before I bought the place, the HOA changed the rules just enough to drag me into their web. Bethany wasn't after my key, she wanted access. Or maybe proof of something. Or maybe just leverage. But if she wanted a fight, she got one. Next day I installed a biometric lock. No keyhole, no cylinder, nothing to pick or copy. Just a scanner that only recognized my face. Bethany showed up again this time with a locksmith in tow ready to bust in. The poor guy just stared at the steel plate. "There's no entry point," he muttered. Bethany, red-faced, snapped at him. He refused to touch it without a court order, said he wasn't losing his license over a cabin lock. She spun on me, demanding to know where the key was. "You're looking at it," I said, nodding at the scanner. "You want emergency access? Register your face." The locksmith almost laughed. Bethany went from pale to scarlet. "You expect me to submit biometric data to you?" she hissed. "You expect me to hand over a key to my home?" We stood there, two immovable objects, her outrage against my stubbornness. She stormed off, heels pounding, but I saw the calculation in her eyes. She wasn't done, not by a mile. The fines piled up. The threats escalated. The HOA portal tried to drown me in paperwork, but the deeper I dug, the weirder things got. In the financial logs, I found payments for vacant lot security to a company run by Bethany's cousin, Marcus Hale. My lot. Even after I'd moved in, they kept billing for security as if my place was empty. Every failed inspection renewed the contract. Every renewal paid Marcus. And every entry was signed by Bethany and Marcus. I realized then this wasn't about me at all. It was about a little fraud factory humming along in the shadows. And my moving in had blown up their pipeline. They needed my cabin to stay vacant. I was the problem. My existence, my lock, my refusal to hand over a key. Neighbors started coming by quietly at first, Tom from down the ridge brought me copies of board meeting notes, whispered that people were tired of Bethany's games. Evelyn from Lot 11 handed me falsified violation logs Bethany had left on the table, claims that I'd threatened her, tampered with water lines, all made up. Folks were scared, but seeing someone push back, it woke something up in them. Bethany, feeling the squeeze, called for an emergency board vote, wanted abatement, meaning permission to break into my place and declare it a hazard. She staged surveillance runs, sent black SUVs and trucks to intimidate me, filed anonymous complaints claiming I was unstable and dangerous. Sheriff Morales, catching the scent of something rotten, told me to keep recording everything. She's not looking for compliance anymore, he warned. She's looking for justification. And then the night came, her big move. Engines on my drive, a generator powering a cutting rig, board members in vests, Bethany at the helm. They started cutting through my door. Sparks flew, metal screamed, my home shuddered under the assault. But I had cameras running, neighbors alerted, files backed up, and the sheriff on speed dial. Floodlights tore through the night. Sheriff Morales rolled up with backup, barking orders. "Drop your tools!" He demanded to see warrants. Bethany bluffed, sputtered, tried to claim authority, but the sheriff wasn't having it. "Your property's outside the HOA," he confirmed after a call to dispatch. "Ma'am, you're being detained for attempted unlawful entry." The spell broke. Her empire cracked, but she didn't fold. The next morning, Bethany filed a court petition trying to spin the break-in as a lawful abatement, blaming the sheriff for interference. Only now people weren't afraid anymore. Neighbors showed up ready to testify. Board members admitted they'd been bullied into silence. The contractor who tried to cut my door swore out an affidavit Bethany had ordered him to break in without legal authority. In court, their lawyer tried to suppress my video evidence, claiming privacy. The judge wasn't buying it. My attorney, Sarah, presented video after video, ledger after ledger, proof of fraud, fake inspections, money funneled to Marcus's shell company. Bethany's arguments collapsed under the weight of facts. The judge ordered a full audit, froze HOA accounts, and started criminal investigations. Within days, the numbers came out: $150,000 siphoned off, years of fake inspections, fraud, intimidation, the whole machine exposed. The county dissolved the HOA. Bethany and Marcus faced charges, and the community, once cowed and silent, stood together for the first time in years. That last day, watching the old HOA sign come down at the mouth of the ridge, a neighbor nudged me. "You should have swung the hammer, Jake." But I'd already hit them where it hurt. For the first time since moving in, the air smelled clean, the porch felt like mine, the quiet was real. I didn't need a fortress anymore. I swapped the biometric lock for a plain deadbolt on a simple mine. Pulled up the last stake Bethany had hammered into my dirt, tossed it in the fire. Watched the plastic melt. My land, my rules, my peace. Funny thing about justice, it doesn't always come fast, but when it does, it tastes like the first sunrise after a long winter. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between authority and abuse? When does community become control, and when does standing your ground become survival? Drop a yes in the comments. If you've ever had to fight for what's yours, and tell me, where would you draw that line? And if you want more stories about grit, justice, and taking back what matters, stick around. I've got plenty more where that came from.